the greasy ascent into gasbaggery stardom of Nick Wright. Mm-hmm. Nick Wright has gotten...
I'm sure he loves it when you put it like that.
Well, I love his look. I love his style. I love his honesty. And I love how thoughtful he is underneath the packaging that's not exactly made for television. He is proudly a gambler and proudly a crazy person and proudly doing some of the better work in this field in the evolution of gas bags as a young man.
I feel like you think you're complimenting him, but you're not really.
I am complimenting him. He's a legitimately great voice in this industry, and it's hard to find new ones that are better at it than the others.
You called him greasy.
Yeah, greasy ascent. I think was the greasy ascent. I believe was
almost ugly. I think was headed in that direction.
No,
doesn't fit the part.
I am saying neither greasy nor ugly. I'm saying guy on television who you'd find at the horse track, proudly. Proudly at the horse track. He's not cleaning. He's not trying to clean up to be whatever your version of television is. He doesn't mind crazy hair. He's going to do it on force of personality. It's actually artistic to watch how he's playing this game.
Never compliment me. Just going.
See, like even in that, you said crazy hair, and I feel like
you don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him. That show used to be on at 6:30 in the morning, which I imagine the alarm goes off at 4 for that. Now it's an afternoon show, and yet somehow still called First Things First.
He is a grinder, and he makes good stuff, and he makes good points, and his substance is very strong, and he knows how to make people mad and agitate, and his hustle has been fascinating to watch from Kansas City when he was promising us as a young man in a radio gas bag that he would get here. So here are his thoughts on the NBA All-Star Game and why it is that nobody plays in the NBA All-Star Game.
The media is going to spend all day echoing those sentiments and crushing the players while taking no personal responsibility for where we are at across sports. The dunk contest, no one wants to participate in. The All-Star Game, no one wants to try. Hell, regular season games, you don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play. The entirety of our profession has turned into, you guys remember that movie, I think it was called Bad Teacher? Jason Segel was in it, and they're in the trailer for it. He's arguing with a little kid about who the greatest basketball player of all time is, and the little kid says to him, because the little kid's arguing, I think, for LeBron, says to him, in regards to Michael Jordan, your only argument is 6 rings. And Jason Segel screams at him, it's the only argument I need. That's what all of sports commentary has become. And then we act shocked when the players act accordingly.
Siegel, fine.
He's blaming you, Stugotz. He's blaming us for the NBA All-Stars not playing.
Why? How? I don't get the link.
Yeah.
I don't get the link.
What'd we do? I mean, honestly, why is it our fault?
All you measure anyone is by championships. And so why take anything else seriously other than being ready for April the 15th or whenever the NBA playoffs start? Why care about regular season? Why care about All-Star? Why care about anything when if someone puts in a good All-Star performance and wins All-Star MVP, does anyone care that Jason Tatum scored 59 on Sunday? No. All you care about is Jason Tatum going to win a title? And if he doesn't in the next 8 years, then the sports media will come down on him with, you haven't won anything. How can, you're worthless as a basketball player because you've done nothing in the way of championship winning. So everything from the end of the playoffs until the start of the next one is a build-up to the playoffs.
50 doesn't even mean anything. 55 in an All-Star game doesn't mean anything.
Nothing.
The only thing
not
that
when you score 185. I mean, it means nothing. It's an exhibition game.
But Stugotz, the standard is now, why should they care about anything when the only thing you're going to measure them by is championship? Second place isn't good enough. Second place is Kevin Durant has ruined his career, and the only time he didn't ruin his career is when he cheated to get his 2 because he joined a team that was going to win it anyway.
It's giving us too much credit to think that we would dictate what it is they care about. If you have professional pride, if you wanted to be an all-star in the NBA since you were a little kid, then that game should mean something to you. And if it means something to you, not to me, not to Dan, not to Greg Cody or anyone else, then you should go out and give an effort.
I don't think that the young players today, the All-Star game did mean that much to them.
Okay.
The youngest players
And
today?
I don't blame them.
And I think that's more of a reason than rings culture. Like, I think saying that it's because of our focus on championships is a stretch. Like, maybe there's a tiny kernel of truth to that, but I don't think that that has any sort of humongous reflection on the All-Star game. I think when we're thinking about, like, the All-Star weekend or the Pro Bowl kind of fits in that category, like, you have to think about why we liked these things to begin with. Like, what is your association with the All-Star game from 10 or 15 years ago, and has that changed? Because I think a lot of the things that have changed over my lifetime is that we have a oversaturation of players on social media and on TV and doing things off the court now, where seeing a bunch of them together in Utah, like, it's cool, but you see that stuff all the time now. Like, that part isn't special. But the game itself, I think injuries are the bigger issue. Why would you risk getting hurt when you could make $400 million over a 16-year career by staying healthy, managing, load management, and, not getting hurt in a game that doesn't matter?
I agree with you. That's why a lot of college players headed high in the NFL draft now skip bowl games, because why go through that risk? It's just not worth it.
But when you make it as aggressively about the money as the pandemic has, and in that sport, we are seeing vastly changing viewing habits with how that sport is consumed, Stugotz. That sport, more than the others, is a social media sport. Their storytelling, Instagram followings are stronger than the other sports. 538 just came out with something that points out that baseball is very soon in this country going to fall behind soccer, that soccer is about to overtake baseball in popularity because you have to evolve in the way that young people consume your stuff. They make everything popular. The way that basketball is evolving is different viewing habits for this. Is, do you exist on social media as a big dunker, and are you dressed like Kyle Kuzma? What's the next fashion statement, style statement, story statement that the NBA is going to make? And these young players, the young player is looking at this as a style party. I mean, did you see how Gilgeous-Alexander was dressed?
Yes.
Like
But the All-Star game's always kind of been about that, right? Like, they're in the style, they're in the fashion.
It's about the spectacle.
Right, and I'm good with
it's
that.
a
But
holiday.
Jason Tatum's also, he's into winning championships. Like, those things are still important to him. The All-Star game may not be. It's not important to me. I love sports. I love consuming sports. I love watching sports. I don't watch the Pro Bowl. I don't watch Major League Baseball's All-Star game. I don't watch the NBA All-Star game. It's not interesting. There are no stakes attached to it. There's nothing. It's just 3 hours of nothing.
Well, as an entertainment product, if we saw the players trying, I do think the concept of the NBA All-Star Game is a great idea. Two of the greatest players in the game pick teams, and it's the best basketball players on earth. And if they were actually trying...
But, Whitty, why would they try? Like, Mark Cuban's been making this point about the injury stuff with the Olympics for a gold medal for your country. Like, he doesn't want players playing there because they risk they could get injured there and not be available to the guy who's paying them $100 million. So why would those guys care?
So then what are we playing for?
And what would they play for?
So then what's important?
Money is the answer, Whittingham. The answer at every turn is money.
Right.
We're playing for money. We're disguising it as something
what is the
else.
money for?
And the players want more money. Stan Van Gundy's theory on how to make this interesting: make it payable after the game, $1 million to the winning team, each player. $1 million. Make it about money. Make it more.
This is going to sound offensive. I don't think $1 million is enough.
Maybe make it
to get me to watch.
Make it more.
No, I'm saying, like, for the players themselves as an incentive. If I said to a guy who makes $40 million, you can make an extra $1 million if you try hard in this game, they're like, I'll take the consolation prize.
Stan Van Gundy's theory is that you make it even more overtly about money. Televised money. That's what's happening.
But it needs to be the money. Like, let's say Team LeBron is playing Team Giannis and Team LeBron wins. I need to see Giannis go get $1 million out and give it to LeBron James. Then I'd be glued. If it's sponsored
like
money,
in the
league
bank
money,
suitcase?
I don't care. Yeah, exactly right. Giannis, go to the bank, get $1 million out, give it to LeBron after
like
the game.
a Howie Mandel suitcase from whatever that game show
Deal or no
was.
deal.
Deal or no deal.
You know, like in the World Series of Poker, when the final two people that play the final hand, they put all the cash on the table, and like they're having to play cards around cash. That's what it should be like. The court should be surrounded by cash.
I have an idea. So you guys didn't like my fashion show idea yesterday, which was stupid of you guys, but I'll move on. So here's my idea. No, so each person will have a stat that they select before the game, right? And whatever amount of points or blocks or steals or assists or whatever that they get that amount of time in one of those money hurricane machines where they stand inside and they grab as much money as they can.
Great idea.
So if they score like 28 points, obviously you're not going to give them 28 minutes, but maybe you say like divided by 4, whatever it is, right? And then it's like, oh, here you go, 7 minutes inside the money chamber, and you get as much money as you can. And the person that scores the most points gets to select the order of the participants inside the money chamber.
He's on to something.
Stugotz has now turned this. Stugotz has blamed the players for making it about money, while he says he will only watch if he can see money flying around the screen. That the only
Their
way,
money.
The only way that's right. That is what the hater does. Counts the players' money, and so of course Stugotz will tune in if the consequence is Giannis has to suffer the indignity that we follow him like a reality show
to the bank.
To the bank. To the bank where he is taking out $1 million he has not earned, right? Because it's not his money yet. But Stugotz wants to make it Giannis's actual money so that the TV companies and the NBA isn't paying for this just so it costs the players.
Those are some stakes. I mean, are they not?
The wildest thing is, so there is already this enormous disconnect about money, particularly as it relates to basketball players, because the best guys make so much. The biggest contract right now in the NBA is Jokic's extension, which kicks in next year. It'll pay him on average $54 million a year. And that is an astronomical sum of money. The next TV deal for the NBA, there's reporting about how they want to bring in multiple partners. I saw during the All-Star game, the president of Warner Brothers Discovery that owns TNT was sat next to Adam Silver, sort of like a show of, hey, I do care about this, but they're going to split probably the rights into 3 or 4 packages, I've heard, and they could double the amount of money that they make. There's a chance, I've heard people say, that the max salary in the NBA could reach somewhere around $80 million a year.
They're going to collectively bargain all that stuff. And I've told you before that LeBron has been underpaid for how he serves economies. To put a salary cap on his worth is not fair to the players. But the way that this is ballooned up top to the stars and some people that many in the audience would think are overpaid because they don't deserve to be stars, that's what's going to happen as you continue to get the streaming money in here. But if you want to make it most overtly about money, go ahead and make the owners think they should get all that streaming money, and players as empowered as Kyrie Irving think that they're responsible for that money. You're going to get what you saw in that All-Star game. You're going to get the optics of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander telling everybody as he arrives at the All-Star game for the first time, Stugotz, if you want to make this interesting, you got to put money on it. More money. Like, that's brazen, is it not, that we've gotten that overt that fast? College sports.
It used to mean something just to get there, especially your first All-Star game. And he's telling you, doesn't mean that much.
I heard a meme on this subject yesterday that it should mean something, because also it means a lot when you don't make it. When NBA players don't make All-Star games or don't win awards, and some of that, by the way, is tied to their income. If you make a certain number of All-Stars, you are eligible for more money. But when they don't make it, it's a big deal. And then you get there, it's like, put more money on it. It's like, well, is it significant or is it not?
Well, you don't know if he would make a big deal if he hadn't made it. Like, listen, he's a young kid telling you, if you want me to be interested in this thing, if you want us to be interested in this thing, money talks.
Okay, but I
have no problem with that.
Stugotz, you have no problem with it now, but you would understand why a customer base in this economy, this America, might have a problem with that. Might have a problem with the idea. I totally
understand.
With the idea you're being paid how much and you need how much more to care about the made-for-television exhibition?
But I understand it. I totally get it. Those customers, if they're asked to come work a weekend in which they think, they should have off, they're going to ask for money. What are they going to do? Pay me double. Pay me 2 times and a half. Pay me triple.
Right. But if you're already making millions
I understand the
dollars,
optics are terrible, Dan. They're terrible. I understand. But I don't blame a kid for not respecting the NBA All-Star game in the weekend.
That's silly if we're worried about the optics of players making a lot of money when Robert Sarver just sold the Suns for how many billions of dollars?
Oh,
I
you're going to
mean-
turn the construct totally upside down, though, if you keep doing that. If you keep doing that with reminding people that the owners get to hide in the shadows and not be famous while making more money, while the players are out
They
there.
don't hide in the shadows. I saw one do a 3-point contest with Dwayne Wade on Saturday. Yes, he was one of the minority owners of the Jazz. Could not be less in the shadows. And he beat Dwayne Wade, by the way.
What if there was an escape room for money? Would you watch that? Escape rooms are fun, Dan.
What is the game show? I will watch people running around for money in a glass cube as an air vent of some sort blows the money all over the place. I will watch LeBron and Giannis fight to the death for those dollars.
If only they were in the shadows, then they wouldn't be sexually harassing their employees.
That's a good point.
Now, this guy's making sense so far, but I just want to know, I'm a little skeptical when it comes to this stuff, so I'm going to let you guys know at the end of this where this guy falls on my Kook meter. I just want to throw that out there. I don't want to be disrespectful. My name's Chris.
Chris, hold on. Let me ask you something. Extraordinary evidence requires what? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? You're one of those guys.
That's right.
Okay, cool. So I believe that extraordinary claims, that they require evidence. I think it's extraordinary that people don't know the evidence. So it's not your fault. Skepticism is good. I am more skeptical than you know. We've never met, Chris. But here's the deal, brother. If you are not caught up, that's not my fault. That's yours.
Meter's moving.
Let's get you caught up right now.
He's calling you ignorant. And
no, not at all. What I'm saying is that the stigma is so vast. It's in our military. The stigma is what causes lack of information. We are in a data-rich environment when it comes to UFOs, but the public, the general person, taking their kids to school, paying their bills, it's a data-poor environment, and it doesn't need to be that way. So let's get there, Chris.
You're in a pink room with a safe and a typewriter.
Mm-hmm. I am. Pink is my favorite color. You busted me, and I don't know what you're talking about the safe.
Is there an alien in that safe, or
what? An alien?
Can't confirm nor deny what's in the safe. Sorry.
What is the evidence? What evidence do we have?
Okay, so it depends what you're talking about. Like, on what level do you want evidence? I've released military filmed, Pentagon confirmed, UFO designated footage. I mean, you're talking about craft that do things that we can't do. I'll give you one example, because if you want evidence, how long a show we got? Very simple. Commander David Fravor off the west coast of California in 2004, he engaged an object, a craft of unknown origin. He was tasked and sent out there on a training mission. When he went out there, he observed, but not only that, Commander Chad Underwood filmed what we now know as the Tic Tac UFO. This object had abilities far beyond thousands of years of what we're supposed to have right now in the US. We know it was not US. We know it was not China. We know it was not Russia. Whose was it? This craft was able to drop from 80,000 feet, actually above that, because that's the scan volume of the radar system they were using. It could drop above 80,000 feet, so from outer space, all the way down to sea level like that in less than a second. Now you tell me what we have that does that. That's tracked on radar. That's tracked on satellite. That's tracked on the ASA system on the pilots. And we have visual confirmation from 5 pilots. So you tell me, whose machine is that? That's the extraordinary evidence for the extraordinary claim that there are objects out there we don't understand.
Mike McClung is proof, right?
Mac.
Who's that?
Mac McClune?
Matt McClung.
The guy who won the dunk contest.
Nailed
the
it.
tiny
It's a
white
double
guy.
fine. It's double fine.
Yeah.
Oh man, all I watch is
He's an alien.
jujitsu and movies. I don't know anything about sports. I'm sorry.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
It's okay. It's all right. It's not
Jeremy, what do they want? The
Who's
aliens. The aliens.
Okay, but you're making an assumption now. So what do you call an alien? Something that is unknown to you, you say is alien to you. If you're talking about beings from another planet, you're making a leap in logic, which I don't know yet if that's true. Although I do suspect by the types of propulsion systems that are documented from our military that they do come from somewhere else. So they will be alien to you. They will be alien to me. but I don't know exactly what that means. What do they want? That was your question. How could I know that? I don't even know what I want.
It's fair.
The podcast series
What are you on for? I mean,
is called
you don't know what they want.
Weaponized. His show explores strange phenomena, UFOs,
He just blinked for the first time in this entire
He
interview.
did, yeah. He's
Cover
one of
ups.
I'm
them.
not an alien.
He is.
conspiracies,
That's exactly what an alien would say.
hard evidence related to the paranormal, cutting edge science, big time crimes.
Do you
Big
think?
time.
Do you think that there is a? We obviously know more than what we've released, and as of a few years ago, we've declassified all this, and we've totally acknowledged there are things out there that we don't understand that can do things we can't explain. But do you think a part of this is being withheld from the public now, just because so many deities would be confused by this and would not know where to go, and us as a species right now, we couldn't handle the truth?
Well, first of all, we can handle the truth. We have a right to know, a need to know, and I feel a duty to find out. But is there a cover-up? Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is not theoretical. We have documents from the CIA, from the FBI. This is a historic cover-up. Nobody wants to admit that there is a technology out there that is far more superior than the greatest supernation that we know on planet Earth. So you're asking me, is there a cover-up? Man, they cover up how much they spend on a toilet seat at the Pentagon. So you're asking me if there's a cover-up about UFOs? Yeah, the answer is effing yes.
You know what? My boy's cooking right now. Let my boy cook. I'm with him.
He is cooking.
I don't understand that reference. Can you explain that?
That you're spitting.
That's me. It's Tony.
That was Tony. That's a fine.
Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
So it's a
I don't know
different.
that reference or what it
I'm
means.
saying I'm
but
with you, brother.
I
That you're
take
cooking
offense
right
to
now
it.
with
Let's
gas.
go.
Yeah,
You're
he
cooking with
says
gas
that
right
he's
now.
with you.
Right.
That you're
You're
preaching.
not a kook.
Yeah,
Yes.
he lost his voice. Pardon him. He has a Cuban voice box, and it was really dry in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Is that Dan?
No, I'm Dan, and we've got an assortment of clowns parading around us.
And
That's good.
Cubans.
That's good. Look, guys. I really appreciate you want to cover this topic. We kind of have fun with it, right? Everybody's like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. The thing is that it might be the biggest story of our time. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. It's either that there are beings that are non-human, so non-human intelligence engaging humanity, or we have some sort of deception program where we're being led to believe that. Now, that is much less likely, much less, because it would be coordinated over generations. So it's good to have fun with this, but let's be honest. Isn't this curious?
Super. And if this technology is out there and can do things, and this is just one ship, then one would make logical assumptions that if they have this type of technology, they have technology to do worse. Why haven't they? Why are they just observing?
playing with their food.
Why is everything... it's a lot of people get skeptical of UFOs because it's a lot like Bigfoot in that, okay, but nobody can get me a crystal clear
It's
image of this.
nothing like Bigfoot.
No, but
We have so many photos and images, and the Pentagon confirmed, and we have military pilots that come forward with footage, radar, sonar, thermal, everything. There's nothing like
And
Bigfoot.
I've seen the videos that you're mentioning, but still, you referred to it as a tic tac because it appears as a tic tac. What we have out there, people can still dismiss as that's got to be something else. There isn't the one great holy grail piece of footage where you can see definition in these things, and
that you've seen. But hold on.
Is that what's in the safe?
That's what's in the safe.
Okay, check it out. Let me give you something. So why is it called the Tic Tac UFO? This is freaking hilarious. So the guy that filmed it is named Commander Chad Underwood. He was under Commander David Fravor, who was head of the Black Aces. And when they engaged this UFO for the military, the guy comes back from filming this, and the stigma is so bad. So the guy's asking him, kind of in the CIC, they call it, which is the Combat Information Center. They're saying, so what did it look like? And all this guy's thinking is like, if I tell him, it's going to sound crazy. So he started thinking about 80s movies, and he's like, Airplane. I remember that movie. And there's this great scene in Airplane where they're describing a plane. And he's like, it's cylindrical. It looks like, I don't know, a Tylenol with wheels. And he was like, I can't say Tylenol. That's too crazy. So he's like, looks like a Tic Tac, sure. So that's how it got the famous name, the Tic Tac UFO, because it was oblong. It was this kind of a chalkboard white, or kind of like drawing board white. And it was just an unbelievable machine that could do maneuvers that seemed immune to inertial effect. And what that means for people as about my level of smartness, which is I had to learn what inertial means. I looked it up on Google, but it's like the idea that it can move instantaneously without deceleration or acceleration. So this thing is going ping-ponging. Like imagine you take a glass of water or you take a glass that's empty and you put a ping pong ball inside and shake it around. That's how fast it worked. Normally, human beings that were occupying that craft would be turned into jelly because of the amount of force when they move at that rate and speed. So it's pretty amazing, actually. That's why they call it the Tic Tac UFO.
So I'm pretty fascinated by all of this. And right now it seems as though we're looking at the news and there's green lasers being shot down on top of Hawaii and chunks of the sun are flying off. And there's all these UFO sightings. Could it be China? Could it be all these weather balloons? I'm going to be real with you. Kind of feels like we're on the precipice of something bigger here. An invasion, perhaps. Do you think that there is something out there that if it has this technology, it could destroy us if it wanted to?
Well, for sure, the technology that we are witnessing can be weaponized. And I'm going to shoot you straight here, and you don't need to believe me because we'll see if I'm right. But the technology itself can be weaponized. The propulsion systems themselves are a matter of national security, is my understanding from direct communications that I have with people. We're actually talking weapons of mass destruction. Imagine if you had a technology that was so powerful, it could bend space-time, it can bend gravity. That could be weaponized. Now, is this war of the worlds? No, we got Biden shooting down balloons over the US. It's so ridiculous. This has been with us for a long time. So if whoever operates these technologies, let it be terrestrial, some nation we don't know about that's just been here thousands of years, or if it is from somewhere else, and you choose your poison on that, non-terrestrial, non-human intelligence, other planets, other dimensions, I don't even know what that means. There's nothing to fear because it's been with us for a long time. And also, if this type of civilization or this type of entities that make these craft, if they wanted to hurt us, you figure they would. However, if you want to get dark and weird, I just released on our last episode something about cattle mutilations, which I had an allergy to. I was like, oh, what is this about? This has nothing to do with UFOs. God damn, was I wrong. Turns out the FBI studied this back in the day, and this is all documented. And you can look at the FBI files on cattle mutilations. So my question to you is, if you are raising a herd for food of cattle, do you feed them? Do you give them water? Do you give them antibiotics if they're sick? Do you actually genetically alter them in some way to make them better food for you? I sure hope that's not what's going on here. I don't think it is, and I'm kind of making a joke. But the point is, we haven't been harmed. Maybe we've been assisted. So whoever this is, whatever their intent, scientifically, we should look at this, we should explore it, and we should look at it sober-minded and reduce the stigma. If we can reduce the stigma, then we're going to see what's right in front of our eyes.
What can I, as a normal person, do about any of this?
I'm not sure you're a normal person. You could be a reptilian from Zorgon, but here's the deal. Good question. Normal person. What can you do? Be loud. Ask questions. Have normal conversations. Look at the evidence. Start listening. Watch the 60 Minutes episode with Commander Fravor and Dietrich was her name, another fighter pilot that saw the Tic Tac. Look at the releases that I put out. Watch the interviews I did on CNN. Watch and listen and try to understand the evidence. Now, I have just started dropping UFO bombs, right? I have been known or become known as somebody that obtains and releases as a journalist what was once classified, but the moment I make it public, it's unclassified because there's no designation, images of UFOs filmed by our military. And I'm telling you, I've just started. So pay attention, have conversations, do podcasts like you're doing, and maybe write some people, some representatives, and say, hey, I actually want to know what's up. What's up with UFOs?
Do you have a best theory on what's happening right now in the news where the government is shooting stuff down and doesn't know what it is that it's shooting down or claims that it doesn't know and won't reveal what it's shooting down?
well, I don't know, a best theory. There's probably smarter people that got better theories than me, but here's the deal. My theory is just my observation. My observation is that I've looked at this for many years, and I talk with people on the Hill, in the Pentagon, in every agency you can imagine. I have people that inform me as a journalist. What I know is that this is a charade, that we know that these objects are always there, that we just change the settings on our radar because we don't want to see these objects because they don't have anything to do with flight safety. But then when you adjust that radar system and you get NORAD looking at this, they're everywhere, all the time, ubiquitous across the globe, not a US issue. It's everywhere. So what we're seeing now is kind of comical. We're like shooting at balloons with missiles that we know are Chinese reconnaissance balloons. Guess what? Chinese reconnaissance balloons, just like this one, been floating over our skies for more than 50 years. So why the theatrics? Why do we shoot a missile at it and barely hit it, by the way? Lower right, crazy. So here's the deal. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this. All I know is that it's a story that got picked up. And if you know anything about media, it's pretty easy to get a story picked up if you're the Pentagon. So what's the point? Is it acclamation? No, they're going to say it's balloons because it is balloons. And I said that the day this started, what the real issue is, nobody wants you to know. And the real issue is that there's a technological nation or a technological entity that are making craft that are far beyond our knowledge. And we've been trying to reverse engineer them, and we can't. And we can't because of the material science. Until we learn how to replicate the physical materials, which would require atomic layering in zero gravity, as strange as that sounds, we're never going to get anywhere. But everybody's afraid that some other nation is going to figure what they call a derivative technology from the technologies that we have been reverse engineering.
Thank you, Jeremy. Again, the name of the podcast is Weaponized. I feel like we should all say it together in a way that brings attention to the podcast. Weaponized. Weaponized.
Weaponize your curiosity.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Weaponize.
Okay, and Chris, open your eyes, man.
No.
It's good. It's good. Stay that way.
We should go to the Kook meter.
Yeah,
we have to.
You're a very moderate kook.
Right.
Like your kook level's not that high. You came on. You're very.
Oh, I'm way saner than you crazy looking guy. But here's the deal. You know,
The beard.
we can use those words and we can point fingers and we can say that people aren't until you look at the facts. So there you go.
Jack.
Thank you, Jeremy, and also thank you, you crazy looking guy.
He was complimenting you. I mean,
Yeah, look, you're all really handsome. I don't know if this is just audio or it's visual, but you're all really handsome. So you got that going for you, and that's nice, as they say in Caddyshack. But you really got to up your game on UFOs.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
Agreed.
I
Thank
keep
you, sir.
telling 'em.
we all do.
Thank you, sir.